Hi, I'm Ashley Ray, CPA. I have a accounting practice in Memphis. We do taxes, bookkeeping, and consulting for all size businesses. Was that it? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kamika Bloomfield. I am the owner of the K Bloomfield brand. And what that is I am so I took what you said earlier. Everything that I love to do for free, I put it into a business to make money. So I am a financial coach, social and emotional learning coach, and a self-care coach. So I put all of that into one business, and I help you live your best life on purpose. If you're not obsessed with your life, change it, and I can help you do that. Okay. License social work as well.
So my name is Eric Brinson, founder of A&R Development and Acquisitions. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I buy and sell houses here in Memphis and other parts of Tennessee as well. And I'm also, my passion is teaching and coaching. So that's essentially what I do for free that I can never get tired of doing. So real estate full-time, but coaching and mentoring is my passion. So that's essentially what I do.
Cool. And what I like to do with the panel, I think it's important to get local entrepreneurs. Like I really don't try to get the big people that you may already know of, because I feel like for us to really learn, like you have to know that like you can do it. You can do it. These three people, I know them, they my folks, but y'all might never seen them before ever. But they are successful in what it is that they do. And so we're gonna share a little bit about their journey and all that good stuff. So my first question to everybody is, how did you know that you had a good idea? So you've been brewing on it, you've been thinking, but how did you know that I got something to sell? Start with Ashley.
I was in corporate America in the financial department of a major company for about 8 years, and I just wasn't inspired. I woke up and just, got a paycheck, and it was good. It was a good paycheck, but it was just that. And I saw so many individuals that wanted to take the leap, that want to get out there by themselves, but they didn't have the power of knowing their financials, their business financials. They didn't know what to do, and so I wanted to be that that link to it. I wanted to make it accessible for people that look like me to understand what they needed for their business.
Oh, my turn. So for me, let's see, my son is 13, so I'll say about 9 years ago, I walked into his kindergarten classroom. I was living in a small suburban area in Alabama, and there was his teacher, she walked up to my husband and I, and she said, "What subdivision do you all live in?" And I was like, "Oh." And I hesitated to tell her, but after the fact, I realized that she really wanted to know my socioeconomic status. And at the time, I was a full-time grad student, and I didn't really have money. But I was like, you know what? She just played on my top. Like, I feel some type of way about what she just asked me. We were renting at the time, and then I began to figure out everything it was to know about the home ownership process. And I told my husband, I'm gonna buy AJ a house, and AJ he can walk in any room, he'll tell them he live in the best subdivision, and I just went on this tangent. And then I realized, you gotta have credit, you gotta have money. And I was like, oh, I don't have any of those things. Anyway, long story short, I began to learn and take courses and pay for courses and just really kind of grasp the concept of the home buying process, along with debt cancellation, along with saving. And so I told God, I said, if you help me buy my baby a house, I'm gonna teach this to everybody I know. So I gathered all my line sisters, my siblings, my parents, and I just started teaching. And they were like, listen, you're giving us this for free. You need to start charging people. That was kind of hard for me, because like you said, I love to coach and mentor. And once I see you at the closing table, I get excited. I feel like I won. But with saying all of that, I just was so eager to, put this information out, teach those who look like me, put it into a business, and then I had to teach myself some self-care along with that. And then, like I said, I'm a social worker as well. So I kind of just put it all in one box and put it out there for my people.
Brother Eric?
So, I have this is a two-part question for me. So, I found out that real estate was a good idea by having another business that ended up being a bad idea. So, essentially, how that influenced me to make this decision, I got into real estate by necessity. I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship, but learning what not to do and failing first, right, hitting rock bottom first, drove me to real estate because I knew I needed something that was not only going to save me, literally, but it was going to give me a trajectory that I could build some wealth, build some generational wealth, and change some people's lives. Because I look at real estate, real estate is the only industry in my opinion, because it influences everything that we do with our day-to-day lives. Somebody had to determine that right across the street, that's a school. But we look at a school and we say, we know what schools are, right? But somebody say, you know what, I'm going to make that land a place where children can be educated and become something, right? People don't look at real estate like that, but that's what it is. So I knew that I had a good idea by getting into it when I met with a seller. It was just a candid conversation. And we got to talking, and he said, man, how long you been doing this? You seem like you know what you're doing. I was only doing it for like 30 days. But at the end of it, I said, this may be something I can do. I can build a rapport with people. I can talk with them. But also, too, I've always lived by the mantra of it's people first, revenue second. And if I keep that in mind going forward, I've been successful at it. So that's pretty much how I do it.
Y'all taking note, that was a gem right there. See, people first, revenue second. Unlike rule number one, get the money first. Rule number two, don't get the money. All right, that's what's going on. And so, you said something, Kamika, that was awesome. Kind of goes along to my some of my principles that I kind of teach. People often say the game is to be sold, not to be told. And I agree with that to a certain extent. Like I said, I can give you the game free, but when it's time to actually do the work, or you have to come back to the next follow-up, then that's when I'm like, we got to pay me. Because I already told you.
Exactly.
It's not my fault that you didn't soak it up, you didn't take notes, so now you're coming back. It must be something that you need, so now you gotta pay. So you said you wanted to learn, you paid to take course, and you did all this stuff into, a field that you really didn't have a whole lot of experience with. So just kind of tell us the thought process about when you knew it was time to invest in yourself.
Okay, I knew it was time to invest in myself when, like you said, others were coming to me and it was taking time away from the things that I had planned or time with my family. And I knew that I had to take that leap and kind of transition it into a business in order for me to have a gain. Of course, I want to teach, I want to coach, I want to lead. However, when my time is at stake, or I'm giving you, like you said, a lot of things for free, a lot of steps. You got to come back and, go out there and try it and come back. That's how I knew I needed to make that transition and kind of monetize the gift that I have.
Anybody else have a similar story?
Were you asking to investing in like the education into yourself?
I mean, just anything. So like when you have to spend, it take money to make money.
Right.
When you make the conscious effort to say, I need to spend this money to learn this in order to get to the next level.
Gotcha. I think, I came to that realization when I started like looking at what others who were at a place that I wanted to be at, what were they doing? So I'm super big on not reinventing the wheel, right? There is an example of success from people that you can look to. And I said, so what are you doing? Are you reading books, right? Because when you first get started, you don't have money. And the only investment that you can make is with the time that you have to learn your craft. And I always tell people, like, as an entrepreneur, I was just talking about this the other day, as an entrepreneur, we first get caught on how much money we make, right? Which, like you said earlier, the bills ain't gonna stop for nobody, right? But if you're getting going, you have to be able to find other things that you count as a win. And when I first got started, I looked at, okay, how can I become an expert on this subject matter, and I can count that as progress towards my goal. So I started investing my own money into books, going to conferences and things like that before I even got a deal done, because I knew that I needed to have that information. So it was at that point when I said, well, if this guy or this girl is doing these things I want to do, what are they doing? They're taking the time out to learn. That's what I need to do. And that's essentially how I made the transition.
Got anything to add to that? CPA?
Well, in my industry, school is formal education is required for me, and ongoing at that. So investing in my business was a kind of a necessity. But when I took it to the next step by attending conferences and paying for different classes that weren't required, is when I wanted to get to the next level. Like, I was, okay, I'm doing my thing, but if I wanted to get to the next step, I have to see what the people at the next step were doing. So I needed to be in those rooms. And so that's when I decided to take that leap and pay for that course, go to that conference in LA. And it has paid off for sure.
All right. And so Eric, you said something, another principle that I always see. So, principles, I look at the seven habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
And I use just a few of those things, but the two that I use most often is think win-win and begin with the end in mind. So think win-win. I know I can give you some money, right? All right. So how can I help you get some money and we can win-win? Think with the end in mind. I know my goal is here, all right? But my path to here might not be straight up. It might go over here, I might go back down, but I'm always trying to get here. And you said, before I even got my first deal, I went on ahead and invested and spent the money to get the education that I needed. And I think that's very important. So when you're starting, you don't have the money. So how do you, I know that you need it, but really, how do you really determine, okay, I don't have it, I don't know when it's coming back in, but I know I need to get this education. How do you really determine, man, I need to spend this money on this. This over here might have to lack. How do you really make that that decision?
Well, that's an outstanding question, man. I think that it really started with the mindset, so it's like my mindset had to shift. And a lot of times, that's the biggest hurdle that we step over is you look at it as I'm sacrificing something to get something else, right? Which that's true, but I'm just allocating my time to my dream, so I'm taking it away from things that aren't serving me. So, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do. There's really never going to be a right time to make a decision in entrepreneurship. And I say all the time that it doesn't matter where you start, you just got to start. And that investment that I made, it did take away from something else, right? But also too, an investment is not always monetary in the beginning, right? The majority of the time, it's just the time. Because people come to me all the time and say, man, I want to get started in real estate. I want to do this, I want to do that. And I say, well, man, it's 2023, right? What have you done for free now that prompts you to feel comfortable even investing some money? So before I invested that money, my time was my currency, right? Because I had one of my frat brothers. He told me I was having a down day, and he was like, man, I don't have no more money. I can't buy this. I can't do this. He was like, look, you need to exercise every free option that you can to get something done before you spend another dime. And that shifted my mindset because I realized, I'm not doing enough. It doesn't cost anything. So it's like if you shift your mind and say, hey, I can make something happen without money, the money will come, right? Because money attracts you when you don't need it. Everybody want to give you money when you don't need it, right? So it's like mentally you have to be in that place where I'm already who I want to be, but who do I have to become to get there? And that comes before I spend a dime, right?
Anybody have anything to add to that?
I think for me, prior to making any investment, what are you gonna do with it? Spending money does not equal success. So if you're not ready to move on that investment, if you're not willing to put the time and effort in it, are you willing to actually read the book and apply those concepts? Are you able to walk into a room and be present in that room? Don't pay for a ticket just to be there. But if you're not gonna actually do something with it, then save that money for the time when you are.
I just would like to add, like you said, investing doesn't always mean money. There's so many free outlets here that we can utilize. And thinking about your target population and how can you in the future monetize off of the free things. So for example, for me, I have to connect with people. I need to be tangible, like a tangible connection. But I don't have, I didn't have money to rent out a venue and bring all these people. So what do? Download a free app, Popple. I ask you for your email address, and I get another free app, which is MailChimp, and then I start sending you emails and telling you my ideas, and then, having you to text this number and you telling me if my ideas are great, and then eventually I'm going to invite you to a venue because you're going to want to come now, you're interested, and you're invested in me, and then we're going to make some things happen. So I like that, seeking out those free resources, because like you said, the money's gonna come. I tell people that all the time. My bonus mom, she's got to the point, she'll just text me and say, you're not worried about anything, the money gonna come. I'm saying, the money's gonna come, but it's gonna come.
That's awesome. I'm a big proponent of using what you have now to be able to make money. And I think that's very important, especially when we're talking about monetizing like social media and all those good things like that. And so I want to talk a little bit about that before we kind of shift into some other things. So just drop a little nugget of gem, but something to think about. And so when we look about like monetizing social media, so let's talk about like YouTube, all right? So in order to monetize for YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, you have to have so many hours of viewing, you have to have so many video uploads and all that good jazz, right? And so as just a regular person, like right now, my YouTube, I got 3 subscribers to the Business Man. So if you be a soft, go to Business Man 901 on YouTube, don't subscribe to it. But I say this to say, I also have a website, right? And so what I can do with my website, all my content that I do, I can just post on my website. And when I'm out mingling and networking, I can be like, hey, subscribe to my website. It's 99 cents a month. Like 99 cents a month. Like, it's nothing, right? But if I get enough people to do that, I can only have 50 subscribers and I can be making $50 a month. Easy. When it takes me 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before I can just get some cents off of some ad revenue. And it only costs me about $300 for the year to have my website and to do all the things I need to do to monetize that. But I could potentially, like real talk, be making minimum $50 a month off those things. So really look at what we can do again to that to make some money tomorrow. So entrepreneurs, what is a non-negotiable for you with your business right now? It's like, yeah, I want to help black folks, I want to help all folk, I want to educate, I want to teach, but I'm not going to. What is a non-negotiable for you in your business right now?
I can go straight up and down. A non-negotiable for me is I am not doing any scams. I'm not writing a letter fix of credit. I'm not, because I am not prison aid. And I say that because y'all, I get some amazing people, right? And they're like, hey, my credit score is this. I'm ready, I gotta buy a house tomorrow. I'm like, cool, let's see, let's see what we're working with. And I give you this plan, this well thought out plan. We've met for hours, and then they're like, see, your timeline looks too long for me. I'm trying to do this tomorrow. But the only way we can do that tomorrow is if I forward something and you go forward something, then I don't look good at orange. So I don't be able to do it. So a non-negotiable for me is just not being transparent and letting you know that we're going to do this the correct way. Because I'm not thinking about you sitting at that closing table. I'm thinking about you being able to have a trust, and then this home is able to go to your children and then their children. And we're not going to get there if I'm doing something fraudulent or if I'm not giving you the correct information that you need. So that's can't do it.
I hear that. No scamming for Kamika.
A non-negotiable non-negotiable for my business, I would say, is that I'm not gonna half-ass anything I do. My business is very personal to me. Like it's my baby, and I'm going to represent myself in the full capacity each and every time I engage, no matter if it's, a consultation, one-on-one consultation, or a big client. I'm gonna show up in my very best all the time.
I agree with both of them, so I'm gonna add them to my answer. A non-negotiable for me, honestly, is just, man, I don't want people in my business or around my business who have limited beliefs. Like that's like a non-negotiable for me, because that's gonna bring me down, right? Then that's gonna bring everybody else around me down, and then now we just got a tornado of bad news. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got problems. You know what I'm saying? Problems is gonna be problems regardless, but it's a non-negotiable for me. Is just, man, the limited beliefs, because I feel like whether you hear or whether you wear at the sky, your mind is gonna be controlling everything during the midst of it, because it's gonna be ups, it's gonna be downs. But if I'm already down, and then I got somebody that's just like bringing me down worse, if that's not a word, I know what worse, bringing me down, then it's gonna be a problem. So that's a non-negotiable for me.
Hey, we hear it worse.
Worse.
Hey, it's 2023.
We're gonna add it to the dictionary.
Awesome. Like I love everybody's response, and I just want to pop in when you said your non-negotiables is not scamming. It's funny because I joke with my wife, because we look at social media, we look at TV, we see these stars and everything. And like I said, I've been in the game, I've been behind the scenes, I know it. And I tell her and other people oftentimes, it's like, people who look really successful, it's probably a small amount of scamming in there somewhere. And like she be like, no. And so like we watch American Greed and stuff like that, and we be watching, and I be like, man, this was finna happen. They finna do. And they do. She like, how do you know? I was like, because I could do that.
Yeah.
If I didn't want to go to prison.
Right.
Because they on American Greed, because they went to prison. So I understand that. And so when understanding the game, like with great power comes great responsibility.
Sure.
Just because you can, don't mean that you should.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you said something, you're not gonna half-ass it. Like, always be the best.
Absolutely.
Even if your best ain't enough, like it's still your best.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And when you give that, you really can't go wrong. I want to pivot to something a little bit lighter. As an entrepreneur, like what's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur? Whether it's the freedom, whether it's the money, but like what's your favorite thing? And we're gonna start with Brother Eric on this one first.
Man, what's my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur? I think my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is just, I think every day is a new day. Like, especially if whether you're doing a full-time or part-time, it's like I thrive off knowing that it's gonna be on me. You know what I'm saying? So, and that could go good or bad. It could be, if it goes bad, I gotta eat that. If it goes good, I'm gonna eat that too. So it's like I love that piece about it. It's really just because you have an unlimited potential, and being on both sides of being an entrepreneur, like getting to rock bottom and being in debt and eviction and all that, because of entrepreneurship, I look back on that and I'm grateful that I went through that because it was a part of it. So when that next chapter comes in my life of me doing well and helping other people do well, I can eat that as well. So I think that it's always something different. That's what I love about entrepreneurship.
For me, I love the idea of being in control of my day. I know a lot of people want to get into entrepreneurship because I don't want to answer to anybody, and that's not the case. You're going to always answer to somebody. But I can control my day. So if I want to go volunteer at my kids' school, I can do that, and I don't have to convince anyone that it's worth it. If I want to go see a sick aunt, I can do that. And that's what I treasure most, is being in control of what the day looks like.
I would piggyback off of Ashley. So I am not a full-time entrepreneur. I also work. However, I have a work schedule where I work from 2 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Sounds crazy, right? But but I have that freedom throughout the day, like you said, to go to my kids' school. I'm on. This is so cool, y'all. My kids think I'm so lame, but I'm like on everybody's PTA, and I'm the classroom mom, and I think that's so dope. They're like, we gotta come back up, especially my middle school. But I love that, and then I also love being in different rooms. Like, I have a Greek group where I am in a space where like teens, and teens in 2023, they're different. Like, I get to learn all the slang, I get to learn all the TikToks, and then I'm also helping them. And then I'm in rooms with like CEOs and people who are like, you know, oh, you're young and you're untainted, I want to learn from you. And then I'm in other rooms, you know, where people are just like amazing, like they're doing like off the wall, like creative things that I've never even thought of. So I love that freedom, and I love like just that learning process of being an entrepreneur.
You dropped a lot there for me. What I want to kind of touch on, my original question, what I was going to ask is, who inspires you, and who do you talk to while you're going through this entrepreneurial journey? And I'm the first person to say, like, entrepreneurship is a call. It's just like being called to the ministry, being a nurse, being a doctor, whatever. Like, it's not for the faint at all. So it's a call. So who do you all talk to? Who inspires you? Who do you talk to? Whether it be a mentor or whatever, to kind of help you on your journey.
The first person I got prior to even making the jump was a mentor. Someone that has been in my field. He's been in for as long as I've been living. So I go with him any, technical accounting based question, any how do you run this? I can go to him, and thankfully he is very, doors open, and he's allowing me to, to lean on him. But I also have cultivated this group of peers in which I feel comfortable reaching out to. We go to events like this, hear from other entrepreneurs, have lunch with different people. Feeding off of like-minded people has been the best motivation for me. Like seeing other people that are not too far from where I started, and we have similar backgrounds and making it big is huge. Like if they can do it, I can do it, and it's the biggest motivation for me.
The question was, who inspired you?
So who inspires you, or like, what do you look for in a mentor?
Okay. So, I have 3 children, and I come from a big family, and family is everything to me. I have a 5-year-old. She is like the epitome of me. She inspires me like to the utmost. She is so fearless. Like she's everything I've ever desired to be. And she looks at me like that too. So I'm like, oh girl, just commit to myself. But she just looks at me, and she knows like my brand, top and bottom. Like she knows how to sell my products. She knows like how to go into a room. Like I had a vision board party, and she worked that room. Like she is learning, so she inspires me. So every day I'm waking up like I just want to have that spirit of a Layla, because she is fearless. And then to know that she also looks at me, and then she thinks I'm so rich. Like she like, Mama got a lot of hundreds. And I'm looking at her like you gonna have like millions. So like we kind of feed off each other. Like I said, I love all my children, but she really inspires me.
It's okay to have a baby.
Like she's just different. She's just so different. Like all my kids are amazing. But it's just like I can see like one day she gonna like take this brand that I've created, and it's gonna be something that the world's gonna be able to see, and just to be able to plant that foundation for her, it just feels so good.
Man, I try to draw inspiration from a lot of people that I don't even know for real, but like immediate inspiration, I've always been inspired by my family members, who had entrepreneurial endeavors as a child. Just seeing people succeed inspires me, right? Like there's just, I love, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be one specific person. if I see a person excelling at something, my immediate thought is, I know you putting in the work. I like that for you. You know what I'm saying? How could I? What can I get from that? Like, how can you make me a better person? So I usually don't just. I don't look at inspiration as for one specific person. I don't have any children yet, so you know maybe when I do, I'll be able to say that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have them just yet. But I know you. The original question that you did say was who you talk to as well. And I got a friend of mine. You know, we kind of started the same stage doing the same thing. So you got to have a person who's kind of like in the trenches with you, right? That understands the things that you're going through. Because I mean, a lot of times you don't have people to talk to about your problems as a business owner because they don't really get it, right? And you don't want to come across as you're complaining or crying over spilled milk. But it's like, you know, people have mental days just like everybody else. But you want to talk to somebody who understands. So got a close friend of mine that we chop it up every day, and we've experienced success at the same time. So I always say find an accountability partner, man, who can, you know, I can just rap about it. So I try to draw inspiration from everywhere it is when I talk to you.
Yeah, that's definitely an important thing. Like I said, entrepreneurship is a calling. And the one thing about being an entrepreneur is like we all speak the same language. I oftentimes use the example that, you know, I got an X on spot, I got a food truck, I got this, I got that, a whole lot of stuff. But I can talk to a dentist who owns their own dental practice, and we could be talking for hours because he or she too is an entrepreneur. They still have to do with payroll, taxes, and don't nobody want to come to work, and like all this good stuff. Even though they a dentist, and I do what I do. At the end of the day, we're still both entrepreneurs. So I definitely agree that you really need some entrepreneur friends. And to go to the whole thing about changing our mindset, to change our mindset, I know people be tight with the word friend and friendship sometimes. Like we want associates and we want colleagues. But in 2023, as entrepreneurs, we have to be intentional about making entrepreneur friends. You have to be intentional and vocalize those things. Like I tell people, and they think I'm joking because I'm very monotone. I say everything the same, and so people really can't read me. But I tell people, I say, hey, you're my mentor now. But I'm finna get your information, I'm finna email you, I'm finna call you, because you think I'm playing, but I see something that you got in me. And I went to a funeral Saturday for a friend. I've only known him since 2021, but he gave me so much game in that time, and he met me where I was at. And even though on paper he was here, when we talked, we was both here. You know what I'm saying? And I shared something on Instagram the other day because I took my son to the funeral too, because I wanted him to know, like, even though I know this man for a short time, he is an important part on my family legacy now. Like the game and the plan that I'm putting together to give to my son was a large part because of this man right here took the time to give me some game, to give me some knowledge, to share some things with me. So I felt it was important because black folks, a lot of us, we really don't know our history, right? We don't know our history and whatever. But I'm a big proponent that you can control the things you control. So now that I know what's up, even though I might not know all my history, I can teach my son everything that I know, and then he can build on it. And so it's really about the next generation. I know you don't have kids, so these next couple questions are for my people with the kids. So when we're talking about, and I'm gonna wrap it up, we got 3 more questions, 2 for them, and then the last one is to sum up your legacy in 1 word. So I'll let y'all ponder on that. But when we're talking about generational wealth, we're talking about leaving something for the baby, doing all this stuff. What are you doing? Generational wealth, you want to leave something, you want to do this, but not to put you on the spot. If you ain't doing nothing, you ain't doing nothing. But like, what are you doing to start that generational wealth?
Go ahead.
So for me, my husband and I didn't answer this question from the last question. He's my person who I talk to. Reason being is it may sound ridiculous. Blind leading the blind. My husband has started Turo. Well, we're working with Turo. We have a training company, and we are together learning how to do everything. And it's super cool and fun and so stressful because nobody wants to work. But we're working together. We're strategizing every single day on how to become better entrepreneurs together. So at some point we'll be able to be somebody new to it, but today's gonna work. But that's who I talk to. And I said that to say we are including our children on the process. Our kids know that we all have a tight schedule. They know that I have responsibilities and they have responsibilities, and we're teaching them and showing them along the way. They know that everybody got to get up at a certain time. Everybody has to hit their door at a certain time because we got money to make. They got to get to school because essentially in the future they have money to make. We're talking to them and helping them understand that what a trust looks like and what that looks like for you. We help them understand where we put the insurance policies. That's important. All of us have to have insurance policies, and it may be ridiculous amounts to somebody, but this essentially is not for me. Come on, I mean, we're getting older, we're gonna die, right? That's gonna go to them, and then we want them to understand that the policies that we put into place for you, they're not for you. They're gonna be for your children. So we're educating them along the way, and we're just basically, just helping them to understand that everything that we do, we want you to have fun and enjoy life too. But everybody has a responsibility. Even the 5-year-old, she got to get in the trunk. She got to vacuum their car out and get ready for the next driver. She got to wipe it down with Lysol wipes. And she like, Mommy, don't forget to spray. Like, she knows what it takes to get us to the next level and for us to have like 110% customer service. Like you said, we got to take care of the people because the money don't come. So we're teaching that like off the top.
So as far as my child's concerned, I just got one. We have the life insurance in place, proper planning, financial planning to make sure that if anything happens to his parents, he's set. But even more than that, my company name is GRL Financials, and that's my son's initials because I am setting my business up in a way that whether he wants to go the accounting route or not, he has ownership in a successful company as soon as he's out the gate. Like, his name is on it, that's his, to do whatever he wants with it. And making sure I'm involving, he's a little young right now, but making sure I'm involving him in that process. So if I'm gone, he is still able to keep it going and keep it profitable. So that can go, there'll be a working machine and he can go put his genius somewhere else, wherever he wants to go.
I'm gonna lean on you a little bit more because you're married too. So you spoke about your husband and y'all working together. Both y'all are entrepreneurs, which that's not always the case. So you've already kind of told us about how y'all work together. You can give us another story too about the positives of working together. But then just based on that experience, can you share that? What do you think the negatives or the pitfalls could be if you both were not entrepreneurs? Say you're one on this entrepreneur track, or say you 100% an entrepreneur and he's just 9-to-5 person. What do you think the problems could be there?
Flexibility. There would be a lot of flexibility. Well, to be honest, both of us have full-time jobs. And then, as ridiculous as it sounds, we're both full-time entrepreneurs because we never shut our businesses off. We can't. So I would say like the positives is that we're always bouncing ideas off each other. We're always sharing information. We're always brainstorming together. We're always trying to figure out a better way to make somebody else's life better in order to make our life better. So that's the positive. Now the negative is we are so freaking busy that we have to be very intentional about time with us and with time with our children. And I feel like I've been washing clothes 7 days, 7 nights. But we have to really be intentional about taking care of our home. It's super cool for us right now because we still feel like we're young and we're thriving and we're getting this thing together. And from that of life, I just see us like being able to look back on today and be like, man, we was grinding so hard and it's so crazy, but now we're like able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And then there's going to be so many people whose lives we've impacted by the products that we produce.
And so now the final question is simply in one word, what do you want your legacy to be? And we're gonna pop over to Brother Eric first.
Man, that's a good question. That's probably, I would say, impact. You know, I mean, because I think to kind of expound on it, I think when you impact people's lives, I mean, that's what makes people remember you, right? I mean, that's what has your funeral filled. I don't want to, be on my deathbed, 100 years from now, with nobody standing beside it, right? I don't want my children when I have them, you know what I'm saying, and my grandchildren to, not be able to recognize that their father or grandfather did something for the world, right?
Yes.
Not for just the immediate community, but like I want my name, my children's name to have some weight,
Yeah.
right? Because, just like I was reading this book when I got here, and I was like, okay, this white man is on this wall, right? And nobody in here know him, right? But I'm pretty sure his kids have these holiday ends.
Dick Wilson.
You know what I'm saying?
My friend, my partner, Dick Wilson.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, that's what I think impact is for me. So that's the one word that I want to leave when it's time for me to roll the ladder.
You gotta go because I'm still thinking. He took
My bad. We can borrow it though. You can share it.
I would say, I don't know how it's gonna say, I'm just gonna see. I would say perpetual. I want people to know that my legacy was not just stopped after me. Like it's gonna keep going and growing and filling different rooms and other people are gonna be able to feel the impact or the value that I cared about from generation to generation. So I would say perpetual would be the legacy. Is that? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a word. So that's
Get it together.
right. That is the word that I hope that my legacy would be.
Alright, so you kind of stole mine too. Mine is long lasting, so it's very similar to that. Long lasting. I don't want my name to stop living once I'm gone off this earth. And that's not in a vanity way. It's just that the work that I put in, I want it to be meaningful. And I wanted to change lives, not just my direct descendants' lives, but everybody I come in contact with. I want to change lives for the positive. So, yeah, long lasting.
That's what's going on. Hey,
What about you?
What
Yeah.
about man, I'm sure trying to my one word for my legacy, and it's gonna be corny, but it's McCoy. That's my son. That's my favorite son. That's my only son. And the thing I often tell people is everything that I'm doing right now, it's cool if I can get some credit for it, but it's really to build him. I want him to be, when they look at the Jackson family, Jackson Future, the family, they can say, hey, McCoy did X, Y, Z. McCoy was the turning point, and I want to be able to be the foundation and give him all the tools that he needs to be successful. So there's some things that we're working on. I incorporated him when he was born. He had an EIN before he had a Social Security number. I'm still working on that process. I was talking to somebody the other day. They was like, man, I've heard of people doing that, but you're the only person. And like, he was really intrigued. And so I guess, yeah, McCoy. And I say that to say, thank you guys for doing it. You guys dropping gems on me. And again, these are local entrepreneurs. These people just walking around doing their everyday thing. But as you can see, they got $1 million minds. And the crazy thing about us black folks, we are so creative. We are so talented. We are so wise beyond our years. And oftentimes, we don't even know the power that's inside of us. So I want to encourage you guys to keep on keeping on. My people in the audience, keep on keeping on. It's powerful when someone tells you how they see you, whether it's positive or negative. And I would argue to say sometimes it's harder to accept the positive things that people see in you than it is the negative. When somebody tells you that they look up to you, when somebody tells you you're the person that they aspire to be, that's a whole lot of pressure. Because you know you just barely keeping it together yourself, right? And you really want to say you don't want to be like me, you know. But somebody, you know, the Lord or whoever is showing some favor on you and they're getting it through. So we just have to remember the power that we wield within ourselves. I like to tell people all the time, like, you have the power to do anything. People say that you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's crazy, it's true, and it's dangerous at the same time. Because when you sit down and you apply yourself and you are successful at something, it's no limit to the next thing you can do. So like, why, if I want to do this, can I do this? And for me, as an entrepreneur, that's kind of where I'm at, like really trying to learn, not necessarily my limitations, but how to move. I tell people all the time, like, I don't have any regrets. I mistimed my jump a couple times. Like, I didn't necessarily make no mistakes. I just mistimed my jump. It's just like jump rope. I know I can jump rope. I just jumped a little early that time. You know what I'm saying? I know I can do it. And so that's what I tell people. And I want y'all to take those things. So just realize the power that you have inside. Accept free game. Know the questions to ask. You can be in the right place at the right time and not have the questions. So always be a lifelong learner. Continue to lean on mentors. I haven't had it personally, a negative a story, but anytime, and I believe you said, like, align yourself with people who you look up to, the people in the spaces that you see that you want to be in. I haven't seen a person who I wanted to be like, and I've asked them a question or for some advice and they've turned me down.
Right.
You know, they might try to sell me some game, and that's a different story, but no one has, you know, really turned me down. So again, if you want to do it and it hasn't happened, it's because you don't want it to happen, like at the end of the day. You have to start somewhere, and that's what we're doing with this. I got a podcast I've been working on. February 1st is Black History, so I guess Wednesday it's gonna be about 3 episodes it's gonna drop that I'm working on. It's gonna be 3 that's gonna drop on Monday, so check me out. The Businessman, it's on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Amazon, all that good stuff. So check it out. Subscribe, because I only have a couple subscribers. Businessman Podcast, Businessman 901 is all my social media platforms. Again, I thank you, Brother Eric, Sister Ashley, Sister Kamika. This concludes the panel discussion. If you have any questions, I know, we don't like to ask questions in groups sometimes, so as you can see, these people want to give you some game. Put them to the side. Please exchange some information. Get a card. Ask a question. We got a question in the back. Yes, sir.
Well, first off, I would like to just commend you, Mr. President, on putting this whole thing together. And I want to take the time to personally thank each panelist for sharing your testimony or your experience. Every word that you like to share, to say whether it's a testimony or experience, what have you. With the time that I've been here, it's been enlightening. prolific, and there are no answers to, there's no right or wrong way to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
You know, what works for some doesn't work for others. And I've had the experience to working side by side with Mr. Jackson and just seeing how this has evolved over time. He said he missed timing or jumping, but whenever he put hands on deck, he had all hands on deck. And he gave it all that he had. And one of the things is, there's an old saying that says you need to know when to fold, when to hold, and when to walk away. And being an entrepreneur, there are seasons, just like there are seasons in our life. There are seasons to where you have to fold, you know? And it doesn't mean that you've lost anything. It just means that you're preparing yourself for something even greater. And just to know, I was back here looking, I was like, is that Mr. Mike up there? And it is, and I'm just so excited to hear the great things that you and your husband are doing. I recall in the earlier stages of just preparing it, and I would recall you and your husband just kind of sharing different things with me, and to know that it has been manifested now is a blessing, because I would see when you were ready to get it, and it just wasn't time yet. And you would get so frustrated, or your husband would get so frustrated, like, we're ready, but it just wasn't time yet. And now to look back at that time, and now to see where you are now, timing is everything. And that's what we all have to remember. Timing is everything. I had a business for 15 years and decided to retire. And I said to myself that I wanted to retire early. And I retired at 35 years old, and it was a very good retirement. And I was in childcare. And this is just saying to what you were saying, Mr. Jackson. Little small successes are still successes. We're looking for the $1 billion success. But little things become much after a while. And you're only famous to those who know you. Many of us know Mr. Wilson, and some of us don't, right? But he's impacted individuals in his circle, in his environment. And so with that being said and with that being known, you are impactful in your environment, in your community. And it's very important, and I urge you, Mr. Jackson, to continue these panels because it is very informative, and it's much needed because there are individuals who are trying to jump in, using that jump rope analogy. They're trying to jump in, but they just don't know when and how to do it. And when you are in the room with like-minded individuals, they will empower you to make that next step. Because I feel a lot of energy in this place that these individuals have been empowered so that they're ready to make the next step, whether it's putting it on paper or whether it's starting it in the physical sense. And so your time is now. Your time is now. And I thank you, Mr. Jackson, for this. It is extremely powerful.
But I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for that also. I appreciate you. Hey, the time has been well spent. All right. We got a couple of parents that are going to hang out here for